She blew a kiss to my husband, at the altar. Not a metaphor. Not an exaggeration. A literal kiss. Red lips. Bold eyes. And a smile that screamed, "I'm here to ruin everything." I was standing a few feet away from my husband-to-be, holding a bouquet with trembling hands. The pastor had just asked everyone to rise for the vows. That's when I saw her. Sarah. The woman Malik once dated for 4 years. The woman his mother still called my sweet daughter-in-law long after they had broken up. The woman who told me to my face, "You'll never last with him. He's mine. You're just a phase." And there she was. Front row. Wearing a red dress that hugged her body like it was stitched on her skin. Her left leg out through a long slit. A glass of wine in one hand. The other waving, lazily, like she was greeting an old friend. She winked at Malik. And then, he smiled. Right in the middle of my wedding ceremony. I felt the blood drain from my face. The hall went quiet for me. I could barely hear the pastor's voice. All I saw was Malik's mother leaning in to whisper something in Sarah's ear, and both of them chuckled. They were laughing. On my wedding day. I almost dropped the bouquet. But I gathered myself. Took a deep breath. And looked at Malik, searching for a sign, an explanation, a tiny flash of panic in his eyes that said, "I didn't know she was coming." But no. He looked calm. Too calm. That's when it hit me. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't some girl who crashed a wedding uninvited. They invited her. His family invited her. You know what's funny? Everything had been perfect up to that moment. The morning of the wedding, I'd woken up with butterflies in my stomach and tears in my eyes. My girls had surrounded me, singing, laughing, helping me into my dress. My makeup artist whispered, "Girl, you look like royalty." And I did. My dress was ivory white, laced with gold embroidery, custom made just for me. My shoes sparkled. My veil was longer. Then my problems. I felt like a queen. Even my dad cried when he saw me. As we walked down the aisle, guests stood, smiling. The choir sang soft love songs. Candles flickered gently. Cameras clicked. And at the end of the aisle stood Malik, tall, handsome, and dressed like a dream in a black suit and gold tie. His eyes lit up when he saw me. I thought I was the luckiest woman alive. But in that moment, when Sarah stood up, flipped her hair, and tossed another smile toward the altar, I realized I was walking into a lion's den. After the vows, during the photo session, I tried to act normal. I smiled through gritted teeth. I posed beside his mother, even though her perfume now made me nauseous. When I asked the event planner quietly, who gave her an invite, she looked confused and said, "She came with your in-laws." Said she was family. Family. That word hit me like a slap. That's when I noticed it all. How his sister hugged Sarah longer than she hugged me. How the cousins kept pulling her into photos. How his aunt whispered, "She's still the better match." I realized I was surrounded. They had planned this. They had set me up. And Malik? He said nothing. Did nothing. Just laughed nervously, kept drinking champagne, and avoided my eyes. So I did what any hurt woman would do. I ran to the bathroom, locked the door, and fell to my knees. Mascara smudged. My dress creased at the knees. The fake lashes I had paid so much for were halfway off. I wanted to scream. But instead, I just whispered one question. "Why did you let them do this to me?" But no answer came. Just the silence of a bathroom filled with luxury soap and broken dreams. Then I looked at myself in the mirror. And I didn't see a victim. I saw a woman who was about to make history. I wiped my tears. Fixed my crown. And said softly, "They invited drama? I'll serve it hot." The sound of the wedding cake crashing to the ground was louder than the music. Guests gasped. Plates fell. People stood up in shock. And all I did was smile. Because that cake? That three-tiered, gold-dusted symbol of our love? It was never meant to last. Just like the lies they had served me. Let me take you back a little. After that scene in the bathroom, I took a deep breath, wiped my tears, and walked out like a woman with a purpose. No one suspected what was about to happen. The hall was full of life. People were eating, laughing, taking selfies. But I could still see her, Sarah, seated like a peacock, legs crossed, whispering into Malik's sister's ear and giggling like a high school girl. And Malik? He was busy taking pictures with her. Not with me. With her. My hands trembled. But I kept calm. Because the best revenge isn't loud. It's slow. Beautiful. And unforgettable. They called for the cake cutting. I walked up to the stage in my heels, looking like a dream with a knife in hand and a storm in my chest. Malik stood beside me, pretending like everything was fine. I leaned in and whispered, "You really thought you'd embarrass me and get away with it?" He blinked. "What are you talking about?" I smiled for the cameras. "Let's cut the cake," I said. The MC shouted into the mic, "Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise," as the bride and groom cut their first cake together. But I didn't cut the cake. I turned to the crowd. "Before we cut this cake," I said, "I want to thank everyone who truly came here to support us today." A few claps. "And I also want to say..." I paused. Held the mic tighter. Let them lean in. "That betrayal tastes worse than this cake." Silence. Gasps. I turned to Malik's mother. "To the woman who told me I was just a village girl with no class behind my back, I heard you. Thank you for raising a coward." Her eyes widened. I turned to Malik's sister. "To the one who said I didn't deserve him, thank you. For reminding me that blood doesn't mean loyalty." Then I looked at her. "Sarah. The red devil in heels. And to the ex who thought showing up to my wedding would break me, sweetheart, you should have worn black. Because I'm about to bury your relevance forever." Crowd, dead silent. Then I turned to Malik. "You let them humiliate me. You let them plan this. You hugged your ex on our wedding day, Malik. On our wedding day." He opened his mouth. But I wasn't done. I was loyal. I was real. I ignored the rumors. I defended you. And this is how you repay me? I picked up the cake knife. The crowd held its breath. Then slowly, I pushed the cake stand. The whole thing collapsed, cream, gold, toppers, everything, onto the floor with a massive splatter. And I turned back to the mic. "But don't worry. I won't fight for a man who doesn't fight for me." Mic drop. Screams. Gasps. People stood up. Phones were out. Cameras were rolling. Malik's face turned red. His mother started yelling. Sarah stood up like she wanted to charge forward. But I wasn't finished. I walked down the stage, heels clicking like thunder, and my girls followed behind me like a royal procession. We left the hall like queens. But as I reached the exit, I turned one last time. And I said to the whole hall, "You all came here for a wedding. But congratulations, you just attended a live funeral. Rest in peace, to all your expectations." Then I walked away. Bestie. I didn't cry. I didn't break. I didn't beg. I let them chew on the shame. I let them taste the silence. Because when a woman knows her worth, she doesn't chase love. She commands respect. 3 days after the wedding that turned into a war zone, I was sipping cold mango juice in my apartment, wearing silk pajamas and fuzzy slippers. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Instagram was buzzing. Facebook was a mess. TikTok had already made me a trending sound. Rest in peace, to all your expectations was now a meme. People were calling me brave, bold, unbothered, a queen. But deep inside, I was still bleeding. Because even queens feel pain. I had loved Malik. For real. I'd pictured a life with him. I wanted to build, to nurture, to protect. But all he wanted was someone his family approved of. And I would never be that girl. I was still staring at my phone when I heard it. Knock. 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 I walked to the door slowly, already knowing who it was. Malik. Hair rough. Eyes swollen. Still wearing the same watch I bought him. He looked like a shadow of himself. He didn't even greet me. He just dropped to his knees. I messed up. I stood there in silence. I didn't invite her, he said. It was my mum. They called her behind my back. I swear I didn't know. You hugged her, Malik, I said coldly. You smiled at her. You let me get humiliated, and you said nothing. He was breathing heavily now. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I was scared to disrespect my mum. I didn't want to make a scene. I laughed. You didn't want to make a scene? And yet I became the villain, the mad bride, the trending topic, while you stood there looking like a mannequin? He buried his face in his palms. I love you. Please. I don't care about them anymore. I just want you back. We can fix this. Then came the tears. And I'll be honest, bestie. I almost fell for it. Almost. But then. A man stepped out of my bedroom. Tall. Dark. Beard trimmed. Wearing just a white t-shirt and gray joggers. He had been helping me paint my new wall that morning. His name was Jason. My friend from way back. Someone who had always liked me, but respectfully stayed in the friend zone while I chased Malik. After the wedding, he showed up with groceries, paint, laughter, and peace. Not romance. Just kindness. But the way Malik's jaw dropped when Jason appeared? Oh, it was sweet. Who's he? Malik snapped, standing up. Someone who knows how to treat a woman, I said simply. Malik's face twisted. So you moved on? 3 days after our wedding? That's fast. I folded my arms. No. I moved on the moment you chose silence over my dignity. Jason stepped forward calmly. Maybe you should leave, bro. You've done enough. Malik's voice rose. You don't tell me what to do. She's still my wife. I looked him in the eye and said. No, Malik. I was your bride. Until you let me stand alone. Now I'm my own woman. And guess what? I held up my left hand and slowly slid off the wedding ring. I returned this nonsense to sender. I placed it in his hand and walked to the balcony, letting the warm breeze touch my skin. He stood there frozen. Then without another word, he left. That night, I didn't cry. I played soft music, danced barefoot in my living room, and ordered pizza with Jason. I was still healing. Still scarred. But for the first time in weeks, I felt free. Free from pretending. Free from being the perfect wife. Free from people-pleasing. And in that freedom, I began to glow again. They say karma never misses. But sometimes, she sends you to deliver the blow. It was a quiet Thursday morning when my phone rang again. I almost didn't answer. The number wasn't saved. But something told me to pick. Hello? I said. There was silence. Then, a weak voice. Please, it's Malik's mum. She's in the hospital. And she's calling for you. I nearly dropped my phone. The same woman who insulted me. The same woman who called me village girl behind my back. The same woman who sat proudly beside her son's ex on my wedding day, was now in a hospital bed? Asking for me? I won't lie, bestie, I almost laughed. I had every reason to hang up. Block them. Ignore them. But something inside me whispered. Go. Not for them, for you. So I did. I dressed in a simple yellow dress and gold flats. No makeup. No drama. Just peace. And power. When I got to the hospital, I found Malik sitting on the floor outside the ICU ward. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His shirt was crumpled. His eyes were red. When he saw me, he stood up immediately. You came? I'm not here for you, I said quietly. He nodded. I know. Then he led me to the room. Inside, Mama Malik lay in bed, weak, with tubes attached to her arms. Her skin looked pale. Her lips were dry. But when she saw me, her eyes lit up. Tears welled up. I'm sorry, she whispered, struggling to speak. I stepped closer. Save your strength. No. I was wrong, she said, barely audible. I judged you. I tried to break you. But you're stronger than all of us. You shamed me with dignity. You loved him when we didn't deserve you. For a second, I just stood there. Silent. Because those were the words I had begged to hear, before the wedding, during the humiliation, in the bathroom with my mascara running. But now? They didn't fill me with joy. They just reminded me of how far I had come. The doctor walked in. We've been trying to locate a rare blood donor match, he said. Her blood type is extremely rare, and your name came up as a possible match from past tests. I froze. You're saying I'm... Yes, he said. You may be the only one who can help. For a moment, the room went still. Malik turned to me, his face full of guilt. Please, he whispered. I know we don't deserve it. But please, help her. I looked at both of them. The woman who humiliated me. The man who betrayed me. Then I looked at my own hands. These hands had been shamed. Disrespected. Ignored. But they were still powerful. So I said calmly. Prepare what you need. I'll donate. The nurse took my blood. The procedure was smooth. Afterward, as I rested on a nearby bed, Mama Malik asked for me again. When I went in, she reached for my hand with all the strength she had left. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me, she said softly. But I hope God sends someone who loves you loudly, protects you fiercely, and fights for you the way I failed to teach my son to. And then... She wept. I left that hospital with no makeup, no ring, no fake smile. Just peace. Pure, unshakable peace. 2 days later, I got a message. She's healing. Doctor said she's responding well. Thank you. You saved her life. Malik. I left it on read. Because bestie, sometimes the best revenge is kindness. Not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. I saw them before they saw me. Malik's mother was seated in the third row. His sister sat beside her, sunglasses hiding her shame. 2 of his cousins were whispering behind them. And Malik? He was at the very back. Standing. Silent. Watching. As I walked down the aisle, in a white dress again. Only this time, I wasn't walking toward betrayal. I was walking toward a man who fought for me. A man who loved me in private and in public. A man who didn't care if I was approved, because he chose me with his whole chest. Jason. Yes, bestie. Him. The man who stood by me when I was broken. Who made me laugh when I couldn't smile. Who painted my walls and picked up my heart without asking for anything in return. We had started slowly. Lunch dates. Long talks. Quiet moments. And somehow, I healed. One day, he looked me in the eye and said, I don't want to fix you. I just want to hold your hand while you rise. That's when I knew. Our wedding wasn't dramatic. It was soft. Elegant. Intimate. No gold-dusted cake towers. No fake smiles. Just love. And peace. But when I told my planner I didn't mind if the ceremony was public, I didn't realize Malik's family would show up. Uninvited. Maybe they wanted to see if I was bluffing. Maybe they thought I wouldn't find better. Maybe they just wanted to know what real happiness looked like. And so there they were. Watching. As I stood at the altar, Jason reached for my hand. His palms were warm. Safe. You look like peace, he whispered. I smiled. You look like home. The pastor asked us to say our vows. Jason went first. His voice was steady. I promise to never let silence hurt you. I promise to honor your voice, your beauty, your past, everything. I may not have known your pain, but I'll walk beside you through every joy from here on. Then I spoke. And this time I didn't tremble. I once stood at an altar where I felt alone. Where I smiled through pain. But today, I stand beside a man who sees me. Chooses me. Respects me. Tears filled Jason's eyes. I continued. I vow to never shrink again. To love loudly, live boldly, and never forget the woman I became because I was forced to walk away from the one who didn't see my worth. The crowd applauded. But it was the silence in the back that said it all. Malik lowered his head. His mother looked away. Because they knew. They had lost a diamond while polishing glass. After the kiss, the guests cheered. I didn't even look their way. I didn't need to. But during the reception, as Jason and I danced under fairy lights, a server came over with a note. From Malik. You look beautiful. I hope you find everything I couldn't give you. I'll regret it forever. I folded the note and slipped it into my clutch without blinking. Jason leaned in and asked, everything okay? I looked up at him and smiled. Everything's perfect. That night, as we drove away into our honeymoon, people waved, laughed, and threw petals. The wind blew through my hair, and for the first time in a long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Safe. This story teaches that. Never allow anyone to dim your light to fit their comfort. Sometimes the people you love the most will betray you in the worst ways, but that betrayal isn't your ending, it's your beginning. When you're disrespected, don't beg. When you're humiliated, don't break. Stand tall, walk away with grace, and let your success speak louder than their shame. The most powerful revenge is not revenge at all, it's healing, glowing, and rising higher than they ever expected. Because the woman who walks away in dignity? She doesn't lose. She levels up.